Hey guys, it's Jeremy Ashburn with senuke.tv, and this is the Pinger Indexer and Toolbox training video. Now the goals of this video are to give you some definitions and then show you how to use the Pinger Indexer and Toolbox. Now indexing is when Google catalogs and organizes your web content on their search engine. And Google seems to index things in two ways: deep crawls and skim crawls. A deep crawl is when Google indexes the entire internet, and this only happens once every 4 to 6 weeks. A skim crawl is when Google gently earmarks new content, kind of like a rock skimming on the surface of the water. And Google uses skim crawls to recognize new content as it emerges. In the contrast, the gyrations created by deep crawls and skim crawls seems to cause what people call the Google dance. And this dance actually causes your websites to move to the top of searches on sometimes, and later on move down to the bottom or even out of particular searches. So just get used to it. It's the Google dance. Now the Pinger. Using the Pinger alerts Google that you have some new content that you'd like to have indexed. So what happens is the Google bot hangs out at these pinging destinations on the web. Now keep in mind that pinging used to work really well a couple of years ago, but now not so much. Now the indexer. The indexer uses the senuke's proprietary network of high PR blogs to index your links. So these auto blogs, having your links on these auto blogs speed up the indexing process. Now the toolbox is used to clean the cache, kind of like CCleaner. You can also use it to change proxies during nuking or run external commands, etc. Now here's a thought. You can create all the links you want to in the whole world with senukex, but Google takes 4 to 6 weeks to index it because of the contrast with the Google dance. And sometimes, even after doing all that work, they won't even index your links at all. So just keep that in mind as part of the process. Keep doing links, keep doing nukes, and just get used to it. So keep using the indexer and Pinger, and your overall SEO process will be successful.
Alright, so first we're going to talk about how to use the Pinger. I'm going to hit New Pinger Project, and I'll title it Pinger Project 5. Double click to open. Okay, here's a quick overview. What you're going to do here is put the sites to ping in here, or select the URLs from a certain URL list here. And then you would just start the Pinger. So what I'm going to do here is actually ping some sites from my main blog here, just to show you an example. I'm just going to open WordPad and paste it into the box here. So if I wanted to ping these sites, I would just hit start. Then you can see it pinging it right there in the bottom status field. And this is a multi-threaded process here, so it happens pretty fast. And you can see here, this is where it's pinging it through. And it looks like it's almost done here. And now I'm done. Okay, so at this point, I can save these sites that I was pinging here. Or I can load new sites to ping here. That's pretty much the basics of the Pinger. So if I want to use URLs from a specific URL list, and of course senukex will save the URLs as you go along into specific URL lists here. So if I wanted to specifically use this URL list, I would just check this here. And you can see this becomes gray because you can either do one or the other. You can either ping these sites or ping these URLs from a certain URL list. So it tells me the count here, 31 URLs, and I can choose to ping the URLs from a specific time period, 24, 48 hours, and you can tell here that this changes. There's nothing been saved on this URL list in the last 24 hours, so I'm going to uncheck that, and at this point I'm just going to hit start. And now it's pinging all those URLs. And I'm not going to wait for the whole thing to finish here, but you can just see how it's done. Let's fast forward to the end. Okay, so now it's done. Close. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at the indexer project. I'm going to hit New, indexer project. Title it, and double click to open. Okay, so here's a quick overview here. What you're going to do here is either paste the links into this box here, or use URLs from a specific URL list here. Okay, so I'm going to open up Notepad here. I have some URLs from one of my blogs here, and paste them. So it tells you here, sites to index. This is 10 URLs here. And to index this, you just hit start or schedule. So I'm just going to hit start. And it happened real fast here, but there was a little status note down here that said processing complete. So now these 10 links were just sent to a group of high PageRank auto blogs to be indexed. And since those auto blogs have a high PageRank, whatever URLs show up in those blogs will be indexed by Google a lot faster than normal. So that's the first way of doing it, is pasting the URLs in this box here. The second way of doing it is using URLs from a specific URL list here. So I'm just going to check this and select the list. Now look down here, all these links became gray. This tells me that when I select this list here, that senuke will not index these links, just the URLs from the list. So I can look here, and it shows me the count of URLs on this list. There's 145 URLs on this list. And I can also use URLs from a specific time frame here. Now watch, when I check this, it says count 0. So this tells me that all the URLs on this list are older than 24 hours. But if you had newer URLs on this list, then you can check that if you wanted to. So at this point, I'm just going to hit start. Now when I click this, watch the lower left hand corner down here. It's going to say processing done. Alright, so it happens real fast. So that's the basics of the index here. Let's talk about a couple notes here. senuke actually has a max daily limit that you can index each day. And this is because of the finite number of links that can be posted on our blogs without Google de-indexing the blogs. So for that reason, the indexer is limited to a certain number of URLs per day per user. We're also working on a premium version of the indexer, which will actually increase the max daily limit for those who are interested. So more details on that later. So what happens if you submit more than the max number of daily links? I'm going to copy and paste this over and over again. Okay, so now it shows me there's 506 URLs here. So if there's more than the max number of daily links, the remaining links will be carried over to the next day. And the remaining links from that day will be carried over to the next day after that, and so on. So what you can do here is check the queued URLs here. And whatever links are over the max daily limit will show up here and be submitted each day until all the links are finished. There is also a maximum limit to the number of URLs that you can have in this queue at one time. And this is just to make sure that some people don't hog the queue by submitting 1,000,000 links at once. So at any time I can hit check queued URLs and it will show whatever's queued in here. I can also empty the queued URLs here by hitting yes. Alright, so that's the indexer. Pretty simple, but also really powerful. And I really don't know of any other software out there these days that actually has an indexer built right into the software the way senuke has. Pretty awesome. The last thing we're going to look at is the toolbox. I'm going to hit New, Toolbox. I'm going to title it, double click to open it. The toolbox cleans the cache and cookies and also changes the proxy. Okay, so all you do here is check cache and cookies, check change proxy, and hit start. So it deletes the temporary internet files, it validates a new proxy, it loads the proxy, and it changes it. So that's the toolbox. Now this run external application This lets you run a command line command with a given set of arguments. So if you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. So this functionality is really useful if you want to run a program that will shut the system down after your submissions are complete, or if you want to send an email saying that your senuke X submissions are complete, etc. And you can also chain multiple programs to run after senuke X with this run external application command. So I would just choose the file name to run, and you can then test it with the arguments, and that's how you'd use that. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Okay, so that concludes the pinger, the indexer, and the toolbox.
The smell of the sidewalk.